Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I grew up redneck in a small town. I used to hear the phrase all the time, "Son, don't get your cart before your horse." Let me clarify that a little bit. It is necessary not to get your cart before your horse, but it's even more necessary not to strap your cart to a wobbly little foal. He ain't going to go very far with it. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Better stay on your horse for this one.
Master the story power method to captivate your audience, improve workplace culture, and 10x your fundraising.
Scan the QR code to book your first coaching call or visit storypowercoach.com.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at storypoweracademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training.
I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. It surprises me sometimes how many people have that cart before the horse mentality. And I don't mean that they're cautioning you about getting the cart before the horse. I mean, they've got the cart done, built, fuzzy dice in the mirror, rims on, and they ain't got a horse yet. I mean, they got the whole package put together to look like it's ready to go, and they got no go. They got no way to make it go. There's a great book that I've only had a chance to listen through not even the audio book, but the video training around Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. Some different courses and webinars and things that he's done around that concept. Done some really brief explanations of it to sell the book. I have not yet got my hands on the book, but I'm really interested to get my hands on it and figure out how an executive went from basically nothing to billions of dollars. And what did he learn along the way about sequencing? Sequencing is huge in business. How do you develop where you're at now to the extent that when it's time to go to next, you're actually ready to go to next? We bought a house in 2023. It was only 2 years old when we bought it. And I remember when we were looking at the pictures online, we found the address, we found it in the area we wanted it to be, in the little town outside of nowhere, close to the lake. And we thought that's actually a cute little house. It's got these two giant picture windows in the front of the house and this enormous chimney. And the first time we toured the house, we kind of looked through and, it's got all tile and a rock fireplace, and it's really quite pretty. Until we realized that the fireplace was built for a digital fire. I don't mean a gas fire. Certainly don't mean a wood fire. I mean a digital fire. No exaggeration. It has an electric heater in the space where the fireplace would go. But in the place where the chimney and the flute would go, nothing. Not a thing. There's not a hole. There's no hole in the roof. From the outside, chimney. From the inside, nothing. There's a rock fireplace with a mantle, a nice little hearth, a nice little mantle. Our TV sits up there. Underneath is basically it's a TV that makes it look like a fire and it blows hot air. So many metaphors. I can't tell you how many people are just like that. They're outside of their business. It's like the cart with the spinny wheels and the fuzzy dice in the mirror, but they got no go. They got no hearth. They got no warmth in the middle. There's no actual there. And yet, the timing is not only off in completing that thing, but when I get them, many of these clients of mine come to me and they're like, "Help me write the speech that sells." And I'm like, "Okay, what are you talking about? I don't care. Just make it good. Give me a speech. Tell me what I need to say to anybody. What speech can I deliver anywhere?" Well, none. Because the truth is, that's like saying I serve everybody. If your marketing campaign is "I can serve anybody," I'm so good, I can serve everybody, then you probably serve nobody. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just being honest. Ask me how I know. Because I've kind of been there. I have a lot of different varying skill sets. In the last 10 days, I've been a keynote speaker at a luncheon for a city council. I've been a DJ at a 4th of July party. I ran the sound booth for my local church this morning, and I've recorded, 9 podcasts. A little bit diversified. I do a lot of writing, a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of playing with technical equipment. But what am I best at? Teaching, speaking, teaching. That's what I do best. But see, 10 years ago, if you'd ask me, how can I best engage with you? How can I best utilize you? If you need me to mow your yard, I'll show up and mow your yard. If you got money for that, I'm in. I'm not the best in the world at it, but I'll do it. And that hasn't just been my heart as a servant, but it's been my way of making money. You've probably heard the phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. Have you heard the rest of the phrase? Better a jack of all trades than a master of none? Yeah. Any way that there is to generate revenue, build up other people, serve, I'm in. But when you build a business and you do it in the wrong order, you get that, hey, help me write the speech that sells. Numerous clients of mine over the last 15 years have come to me and said, I'm ready to write the speech. I've already booked a podcast. I'm already ready to start recording a podcast. I already have a PR firm. My book is almost done. I've got the book cover designed. And when I ask that, apparently like a sledgehammer to the forehead kind of question, so who do you help and how do they help them? And all I mean by that is, how are they better off after they've encountered you? You would think I had pulled their toenails out with rusty pliers. It's the most grueling thing to get that answer. It's almost as bad as, so what do you want? Their face is contorted to some distorted look. They're puzzled, they're hurt, they're wounded that I would even ask. They want to speak to everyone, anywhere, all the time, as long as they get paid good to do it. I'm like, well, anybody can entertain them in varying degrees, but what they really want from you is your level of expertise. What is it you deliver to them? And how's that going to make their life better? It's fascinating how much of a struggle that is. But that is quintessentially the cart before the horse. To pay for the PR, to buy the best-selling book campaign. I have multiple clients who've paid $15,000, $20,000 to have their hardcover book done in 90 days, bestsellers list on Amazon, the blah, 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 blah. And when I start working with them on stories, they realize that what they put in the book, they don't really stand behind it. Working with a client just this last week, reading through the book, and I stumbled across a paragraph and I'm like, where did that come from? They're like, I don't know. The ghostwriter takes it from the transcripts of our conversations. I'm like, does the ghostwriter know when it's me talking versus you talking? Because you're the one with the PhD. I'm the one that speaks much more colloquially. And that's very colloquial. In fact, in all the time that I've known you, pushing 2 years now, I don't think I've ever heard you say a phrase like that. And they laughed out loud. They're like, you're probably right. I'm like, now what if I wasn't here to funnel through this book with you line by line, word by word, article by article? Because there's nothing grammatically incorrect about it. There's nothing data-wise inaccurate about it. It's a clever statement. I would use it from the platform 10 times out of 10 and never think twice about it. But it's not PhD level research. And that's what they expect of you. If I wasn't here to look at that, would an editor have caught that? I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not an editor. But conceptually and messaging-wise, that's what I've been asked to do. Go through this book, make sure that the logic makes sense. Make sure that the metaphors make sense. Make sure that the stories in each chapter hold the truth. Now, could this book already have been released? Yes. Has the money already been spent on the publisher? Yes. Has the window of time that the publisher expected the ghostwriter to complete the book, put a cover on it, put it in the marketplace, has it already passed? Oh yeah, long time ago. But I've pressed my client constantly to say, I don't think that book's ready. I don't think it represents the quality of the person you are. I don't think if it got published, even if it did say bestseller on the outside cover, that people reading that book would go, that's somebody I got to get to know. That's somebody I absolutely have to do business with. I want to have them on my podcast, which leads me to the next challenge. The number of people who have never actually delivered a speech to any size audience for more than 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, a lot of people, they get their nerves out by going to the Toastmaster meetings or the network meetings. We have a little meeting right here in Granbury every Friday morning, almost every Friday morning, probably 50 times a year, 48 times a year. And in that meeting, there will be 35 to 50 people on a regular basis. Sometimes we're pushing 65, sometimes 25 or 30. But see, in that meeting, everybody has an invitation to step to the front of the room, take the microphone, and talk for 2 minutes. And some people lose control of themselves over their nerves in 2 minutes in front of 50 people who live in the same hometown, and the only reason they're there is to do exactly the same thing. Nobody's judging, and yet nerves can overwhelm you. What if you had to fill 45 minutes instead of 2? What if there were a couple of hundred people in the room instead of 50? What if it was a few thousand? What if you put up a camera and you live stream that, knowing that potentially 2 billion people could be watching that? I mean, the algorithm's not going to let you see all of them, but it can happen. There are a lot of videos out there with 4, 5, 10 million views, 100 million views. They've been around for a minute. It happens. Is your message, your delivery style, the ability you have to articulate, is it ready for that? If the answer is, well, maybe, you're out of sequence. Don't turn the camera on until you've got an idea you're ready to articulate. And not just something you want to say because you saw it on a poster, read it on the cover of a book, but something you've kind of lived through. Now, if you're asking yourself, how big a deal is that? Look, just take a minute, go to Story Power Academy and look for it's a little tiny training program called Learn to Roar. Watch that for a minute and ask yourself, is it relevant? Do I have ownership? Am I speaking with authority? And am I responsible for how people feel after I'm done talking? And if you can't meet that basic curriculum, your cart is rolling downhill really fast and there ain't a horse around to stop it. If you haven't met those basic requirements of a good presentation, let me back up. Not a good presentation, that'd be the cart, but a good presenter. If you don't have the kind of character to stand behind it. Now, I'm going to say this about any business. My arena is coaching in specifically communication and leadership. I try really hard to stay in my lane, but I've written a lot of different business plans for a lot of different people in a lot of different industries. I've been in some pretty high-level government meetings, from the UN to the city council to county governments and state governments, and listen to the arguments and listen to people get things out of order. We're going to do this. And you're like, well, great, but don't you have to do that first? And before that, you got to do this. And before you got to do this. I mean, we're going to spend $10 million to build this. Great. Where are you going to get the $10 million? Well, we're going to have a bond election. Oh, well, don't you have to tell the people what it is you're building and why you're building it before you have a bond election? Because you're not going to get $10 million without the people agreeing. And those people voted you into office, and they may quickly vote you out if you start trying to do things you don't have permission to do. That's the cart. And the horse is nowhere to be found. In the area of communication, my area of focus. In the area of leadership, my area of focus. There are a lot of people that want the promotion. Now, let me look at that promotion from both ways. They want to go out there and tell the world, look how wonderful I am. They want the PR. They want the social media campaigns. They want the Facebook reels. They want all that kind of stuff. I've had them come to me and say, help me build a sizzle reel. And I'm like, okay, where's all your footage? Oh, like, I don't really have any. Well, how many audiences have you spoken in front of? Like 4. Okay. Well, I mean, you could build something out of that. People give me a hard time about my sizzle reel sometimes because I think through this cart before the horse on a regular basis. I've been doing this for a minute. I don't have a big, glossy, fancy, media-produced sizzle reel. I mean, I could. That's not my focus. My sizzle reel, if you want to call it that, 1 minute. It's an introduction. And in all honesty, it might give you a little bit of vertigo. because there are so many video clips of me on stage, so many audiences where everybody in the audience wanted a picture with me. And so I stuck a whole lot of them in there. Is it what every planner wants? No, but I'll tell you this, at the end of a minute, if you think I haven't been on stage in front of a crowd somewhere, you're delusional. I mean, there's photographic and videographic evidence for the last 15 years. And I don't record probably half of what I do on the stage. I don't have to. I can stand behind what I do. And even better than that, it's not just, do I have evidence that I've actually put a mic in my hand and stood in front of a crowd? A lot of it. But more than that, poke me on the ideas that I spoke when I was on the stage, when I was a guest on the podcast. And you're going to find a couple of things. Number one, I will very consistently say the same things over and over again. There are a whole lot of people that get on a podcast, and from one podcast to the next, their mind changes. Their opinions change. Their core values that they're so vehemently about today, on Thursday, they're different core values. Recently ran into a guy that loves to share his core values, but he has to read them off of his device because they're not internalized yet. No judgment. The cart and your horse are getting close to each other. Right now, you're kind of at the level of the backup camera to get your trailer hitch on. I used to do obnoxious things before the days of backup cameras. In fact, my 96 van doesn't have a backup camera or even backup beeper sensors to tell you you're getting close. I do silly things like, while the trailer's connected, when I disconnect it, I lay something on the ground right where the outside edge of the driver's tire should be, so I can just kick that mirror down while I'm backing up. And if my tire hits that cone, brick, paper cup, whatever it is, I know I'm under the ball. I can drop that hitch right there and hook up and go. What have you done to practice that consistency? Without the backup camera, without the backup assist, if you got none of that, how close can you get to your target consistently again and 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 again? If I ask you your core values 3 times in a row, are they simple? Mine are. If I switch camera angle, well, you can't see it in any of the cameras that are on this podcast, but the one over here to my side, the robot camera, you can see my faith, family, and freedom flag. Those are my core values. They don't move. Like a lighthouse. They don't move. Faith, family, freedom. Non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Now, under those, there are some drop-down boxes. And I love the way Simon Sinek said it. He said, I have strong opinions, loosely held. And the first time I heard that, I thought, that's a very clever phrase. What does it mean? And fortunately for me, that conversation was with Dr. Jordan Peterson, who asked the question, that's clever. What do you mean by that? And he said, I have some really strong opinions, things that I'm vehement about. I am thoroughly convinced. But my mind could be changed if I was proven wrong. And I would rather be proven wrong than to live my life thinking I'm right and not being right. Cart before the horse. The marketing, the one sheet, the website, the building the PR, telling the world how wonderful you are before you've actually done anything wonderful. I get it. We've been told over and over again that sometimes what we have to do is we have to act as if before it actually happened. Sometimes we have to imagine and then live up to that vision, live up to that imagination. We have to perform in a certain way so that the world can see what we've actually accomplished. That's not easy stuff to do. Sometimes that's more taxing than you can imagine. But getting out there and marketing and promoting what you haven't yet built, is that a focus group? Is that a test of the market to see if what you have, what you intend to create, is a viable product? Possibly. Is it so determined to build something that you're not even sure if it's going to work, that you got to get out there and create noise with nothing to offer? That's a bit of a challenge. It's a bit of a challenge for anybody to put the chimney on the house when there's no real fireplace. To have the promotion of the idea before the idea is actually fully developed. That's a problem. Now, it's just my opinion that it's a major problem. But when you're talking about sequencing, we recently joined a program for earners that want to be seven-figure earners, but they're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet. But in this program, one of the things that was told to us was a challenge, because I like to think that, if we're doing all we can, adding more people means we, because there's more of us, can do more. That was my first thought. But I realized after 12 to 15 years in this business, there are a lot of different systems that are like products that you find other places. And by that, I mean, they promote the product and they intend to sell the product because whoever created the product is determined that it's perfect. And the people that sell it want to sell it because the person pushing it really wants it sold. And whether or not it can deliver on the promises of the product is a whole different thing. We've found that to be true in systems. There are a lot of different systems in our industry, a lot of different educational platforms. Some of them have marketing built in. Some got nothing. Some are systems for marketing, but they got no CRM built in. And they got no CRM with educational platform built in. So in order to have a CRM, a sales funnel, as an example, that leads into a database that puts them in a customer journey and then delivers the product as well, to have all of that, that's a little complicated. And so people keep hodgepodging these things together, and that's what we've done over the last 12 years. So when I joined this program for how to get to seven figures, I said, we're working to get the process down so that we can actually build this business. And we've been investing a lot of money in the process and the systems. And one of the coaches said, well, how much profit do you have? I'm like, we're getting there. We're not near the kind of profit level that we want. We're not taking full salaries yet. We're getting there. After 12 years, we're getting there. That's sad, right? But it's true. I'm just being honest. And he said, well, how do you drive profit? I said, we do these things. And so that's why we need a better system. He said, no, what you need is better promotion. You get your P's backwards. You're trying to work on people and process when you don't have profit. And you won't have profit until you promote. And if you don't promote, you can't generate profit. When you promote, and generate profit, then you can have process after you have people. But you can't get those out of order. Sequencing. If you spend money on systems, I know a lot of people who spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars on the book writing system, on the PR system, on the build a webcast system. Go right now on any Facebook market, local Craigslist, eBay, whatever you want to. You will find studio setups comparable to mine, maybe a little less, where people bought half a dozen cameras, all the tripods, all the lights, all the microphones. They are ready to rock and roll. And they do the first 3 times in front of a camera and they're like, wow, that was harder than I thought it was. People tell me all the time, I'm so much better in front of a room than I am in front of a camera. I'm like, why? Well, they can't tell you why. I can tell you why. I got my start doing this, not in front of a camera, sitting in a closet. And I am not exaggerating by a closet. It did have a window, but it looked into another room with nothing in it, not even a couch. It was just dark. I'm not even sure the lights worked in that other room. It was a window to nowhere. And I would sit in that little room and do a radio talk show. 100,000 watt station out of Jacksonville. A year or so invested in that. And when you're sitting there talking to a microphone and there is zero video feedback, you can't even see yourself. You have no idea what's going on the other side. So if you thrive on that emotional feedback, if you're looking for people's faces, I'll tell you 2 Achilles heels you're going to run into really fast. Number 1, you think you're always going to get positive feedback. You think that those lines, those jokes, those idioms and axioms that you practiced on your family, you think they're going to land in a crowd of 50 or 500. And the truth is, you're going to look out there on the stage, and rather than having that nothing staring back at you like the microphone of the closet, you're going to have this. And from time to time, you'll say something funny. You're like, yeah, that's right. but they're not even looking at you. You got no eye contact. You got no emotional response. You got no feedback. And worse than that, you realize your best lines, your best preparation, your deepest research, your most profound critical thinking not only lands flat, it's straight up getting ignored. That's a hard place to be. Really hard place to be. See, it's a choice. And if you get the cart before the horse and you market yourself and then you get there and you realize I got $30,000 invested in cameras and I can't do this podcast thing. I can't seem to get a guest on the show. I can't seem to get any sponsors. I don't know how I'm going to keep this thing going. How in the world does it even pay for itself? Why am I even doing this? And now all your equipment's on eBay and you're looking for a job at Home Depot again. No judgment. It's a sequencing issue. You got things out of order. You jumped ahead of the horse and the cart all together. You're halfway down the road with a buggy whip and no cart, no horse at all. Or you've strapped your cart, loaded down with all these hopes and expectations to a little baby foal who's still a little wobbly on his own legs, much less trying to pull your cart around. Or maybe you've seen the little donkey strapped to the cart, and the guy jumps on the back of the cart and the little donkey's now flying in the air. He's got no go. Oh, he's strapped. He's strapped to the cart. You got the donkey and the cart, the horse and the cart, but it can't go anywhere. His little feet don't even touch the ground. If you've overloaded your expectations because you've got things out of order. I was just recently on the phone with a coaching client, actually a Zoom call. And they said, in the last few years, probably 5 to 7 years, I've spent close to $100,000 on different coaches. And many of them knew exactly what they wanted me to do, exactly what the delivery was going to be. It was a product, if you will. And I was supposed to do this thing and accomplish X by Y date. But I realized that they were just selling me their product, and my job was to do what they wanted done. It wasn't really about developing me. It was just me proving their product was good. They said, the thing that I find different with you is that you don't have a set thing that I'm supposed to accomplish. You're just constantly forcing me to improve. And you're making sure that everything is settled and foundational before we start building up. I said, that's exactly the analogy that I use. If you ever try to put an upright pole, like a fence post or a signpost, into concrete, and you don't stabilize that pole while the concrete dries, or if you pour all the rocks in and then you pour all the water in and then you pour some cement on top of it, these layers are not a foundation. That cement's got to be blended well with the gravel, with the rocks, with the hole prepared, with the post in the center, with the right kind of support around it. Otherwise, it might stand up for a minute, and the first storm, it blows over. The first push, it shatters. I've seen people put those concrete posts in their fence posts wrong, and you can just grab the post and pull it right out of the ground. It's got no reason to stay in the ground. It's just the weight of the cement that holds it up. That's a challenge for a lot of people, but sequencing is the issue. And getting the timing right, doing the right thing in the right order, the right way, that's what's going to make a difference in your life. In my world of leadership and communication, before you try to lead, grow. Before you focus on changing somebody else's life, change your own. Before you focus on telling stories that you think are going to impact somebody else's life, ask yourself, what stories have changed my life? And what life change have I experienced that I can tell stories about? When you can start getting that sequence down, you won't have to spend nearly as much time or money on promotion. When you write your book, everybody's going to want it. That's a whole different thing than going through a process, creating a bestseller that just went through the process fast enough to become a bestseller. And if you don't know this, there are people who have bestsellers who have not sold 100 books yet. I hate that that's true, but it is. These are people whose ideas couldn't make it off the coffee table, much less become world-changing notions. People who have written a book that's nothing but quotes from other people, slapped their name on the outside of it and said, that's my bestseller. There are people who've used artificial intelligence to artificially create a book that's not so intelligent. And if you press them on it, you have to show them the page it is in the book, because that's not an idea they own. It's not a core value they live up to. It's a notion that crossed their mind one day, sounded cool, make it a book, make it a page, make it an idea, make it a speech. And 2 weeks later, if you ask them the same stuff, they can't tell you because they made it for the moment, not for a lifetime. It wasn't a notion built to last. Get your sequence right. Build a solid foundation in you first. Build your leadership skills. Build your communication skills. Build your thoughts based on your own critical thinking. And then you got something to build on. But if you get that out of order, you can promote all your life and it's just going to fall apart. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, or Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Think storytelling's just for bedtime? Nah, it's the secret sauce for business magic. Stuck in a rut with bland pitches and yawning clients? Enter Boost Your Business with Story Power. 6 weeks of epic storytelling training. It's like leveling up in a video game but for your career. Master the art of narrative and watch connections blossom like a viral TikTok. Simple, impactful, and game-changing. Ready to transform your biz vibes? Dive in now and make storytelling your superpower.
This 6 weeks guided program is specifically designed for those people who say, I know I need to tell stories. I need to tell better stories because the ones I have are boring or they're not getting across. Or as John Maxwell says, everyone communicates and, well, few connect. Now, as a participant in this course, what I would really love to know from you, put it in the discussion on the course if you're already registered online. Send me a chat, send me a DM, send me a text, send me an email. I'd really love to know what you hope to get out of this course. Now, I can tell you what we're going to discuss, and I can tell you what I plan to teach and train you on, and I can tell you even what we plan to discuss each week on the calls for the next 6 weeks. I'm going to go over all of that for you in just a moment. I can also tell you that my clients who get the greatest success are the ones who apply the Story Power process to their business development to increase their impact, their influence, and their income. Now, the Story Power process includes story mining, story selection, story qualification, story crafting, connecting with your audience, and leading the narrative. And if you leave any one of those parts out, you're going to find that, well, you're just not as effective as you want to be. You're not going to grow your business to the same level. You're not going to lead with impact and influence like you hope to. I can also tell you that the people who apply these things, well, they're not failing in their business. The reason a lot of people fail in their business is they continue to fail to connect the solution they offer with the problem that their clients have. The pain and the solution never come together. And a lot of that failure is because they're not clearly articulating how their solution solves someone else's problem. It comes down to a question something like this. Who do you help and how? Yes, that's one of the first things we're going to discuss over the next 6 weeks of Boost Your Business with Story Power.
Master the Story Power method to captivate your audience, improve workplace culture, and 10x your fundraising.
Scan the QR code to book your first coaching call or visit storypowercoach.com.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership